Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the Summit 4. This is the China Qualifier, and this is the lower bracket, Game 2 of cdec versus Invictus Gaming. We've got ourselves a draft underway, so let's switch it over, share that to you guys, get you some audio, and we can start the broadcast. cdec are here fighting for their tournament lives. We're in the lower bracket, and they are down 1-0. In this best of 3. IG looking great in game 1 and towering above everybody was Ferrari 430 on his Shadow Fiend. So we're going to have to see if cdec can find the resources to be able to deal with Ferrari in this game and maybe get off to a slightly better start. I think the other big thing that went horribly for cdec is that they tried to put, well, it went all right. They tried to put some pressure on the opposing safe lane. They tried to shut down Rabbit's Farm and the Juggernaut, and to a degree, they were successful. The Windrunner and the Undying lane, it did prevent the Jug from getting free farm, but the Undying died a couple of times. There were a few rotation towards bottom, and the supports managed to keep their pull unblocked and managed to generate a fair amount of experience, and Chuan took that early experience, that early benefit from those Undying kills, and went on an absolute tear as Night Stalker, really terrorizing everybody. So, and I think cdec just didn't get nearly as much value out of that Queen of Pain as they were hoping. Aggressive had an amazing start, and then just kind of fizzled once we got into the mid game. So we'll see if they can change things up a little bit here, and they are going to change things up somewhat, starting with the draft, as they do just go straight into the Slardar. They're over on the Dire side, they've got good access to Roshan, and I like this Slardar pick as the starting point here. They can still look to move into a Windrunner to go along with the Slardar, get that huge physical damage combination that we've been looking at recently. The Slardar is also a relatively flexible hero. We've been seeing a decent amount of offlane Slardar with Force Stabs and Tranquil Boots and Blink Daggers, and we've also seen a little bit of safe lane Slardar, though I get the feeling that this might be more of that offlane, dual lane kind of a style from cdec, though we'll have to see moving forward. And well, from Ferrari, now we're going to be looking for our repeat performances. Invictus Gaming wastes no time whatsoever in grabbing up the early Shadow Fiend. Worth pointing out as well that despite the nerfs, Doom is still 4 for 4 in our games so far this evening in terms of bans, so it looks like he is not going to be seeing the light of play anytime soon. And what else? Well, cdec actually going to respect the Undying a decent amount and ban it out themselves here as they don't have the first pick. Tusk, I think he's made a very good case for himself so far. This patch is going to be the ban for IG. And, well, they're still doing amazingly with this Super Rubik. I think that last win pushes them up to 13 games and what should now be, well, I don't even know if that is going to be up to date, but 13 games and a 77% win record with this hero. So Super making a very convincing case for the early pick. cdec looks like they still feel confident in the Queen of Pain, but it looks like this time around it might be matched up against the Shadow Fiend. And cdec are also going to get rid of the pesky Night Stalker with that long duration crippling fear. That was the reason that Queen of Pain felt the need to rush a first item BKB in the previous game. So that little bit of extra freedom should hopefully help out the QoP, though IG do still have plenty of room in the lineup to grab a Silencer, or to grab a Lion, or to grab something that's going to be another nuisance for the QoP here. So I don't think that banning the Night Stalker is necessarily a blank check in terms of the Queen of Pain's impact this game, but it is certainly going to help out. And we've also got the Clockwork removed from cdec. I think they're afraid of IG just going down that same line. Shadow Fiend mid, something pushy on the safe lane. Though IG do mix things up a little bit. They get rid of the Bounty Hunter, they get rid of the Spirit Breaker, and anyone who's a Broodmother player knows those are two of the most annoying heroes to deal with as a Brood. So that is going to open things wide for IG to grab themselves the Lua Broodmother. Now we'll see how cdec are going to be able to deal with this here. The Queen of Pain's decent against the Brood, but again I think they're trying to put the QoP up against the Shadow Fiend, so they're going to have to try and put something else together to deal with the Broodmother here. They do grab themselves a Dazzle, so good support, pretty good sustain. Somewhat susceptible to being bullied by Brood, but it does at least give them some saving potential. And I think the Dazzle is also an insurance policy somewhat for the Queen of Pain, to the point that even if IG pick up the Silencer or the Lion or whoever's going to be really annoying for the Queen of Pain to deal with just because of some good lockdown and some good silences, good stuns, whatever the case may be, the Dazzle should hopefully be able to keep her alive pretty much no matter what happens. Gives them some more minus armor on top of everything as well. So there's definitely going to be some hurt being dished out by the Slardar, and especially if we see the Queen of Pain go for the very common at the moment Orchid into kind of AC build. It's going to be a lot of right click, a lot of minus armor for the cdec squad, but it could be other priorities coming out. And cdec, well, this is actually pretty late in the draft to be seeing this Ember, but I think the cdec bans have kind of pushed things along a little bit and let a few more heroes through into the pool, but we are going to see that Ember Spirit picked up here. Gives them some more early game fighting potential. Looks like they are just going to be settling things down into dual lanes, and it is a hero that's very, very capable at dealing with the Broodmother split push, especially through the mid game. So I like this pickup a lot from cdec, and it fits more in line. I guess that was the other thing that I didn't even really talk about in the previous game, but the lineup in the previous game didn't even necessarily feel like it. It did feel like it was cdec style, but they just never really got to play their game. They never got to make early rotations and get pickoffs with Aggressive doing things. They didn't get the early momentum. There weren't any aggressive smokes. The off lane, I think, didn't go quite as well as they were hoping with the pressure, and that freed the Night Stalker up to go and be a nuisance, and they just didn't get that classic cdec snowball going. But I think this lineup is even better suited to that kind of strategy than the previous one was. So we'll see if that's going to help matters a little bit here. The Rubic Ancient Apparition is a pretty potent tri-lane, and the Broodmother's a very, very capable one-on-one hero, so I don't think cdec are going to be able to run any kind of aggro try here. Probably just going to do some dual lanes or a defensive tri-lane. Though the question is, who exactly is going to be hitting where? I think Slardar is definitely off lane. Ember Spirit has a terrible matchup against Shadow Fiend, so I think it's Slardar off, Quap mid, Ember safe. And the only question is what cdec's final hero is going to be, and whether or not that hero is going to be heading towards the top lane or the off lane. The Dazzle could actually be the off lane partner for the Slardar, but then I don't know what exactly cdec are going to do to make that dual lane for the Ember Spirit tolerable against the Broodmother. Okay, Jug's the ban. IG do really like their Shadow Fiend Jug kind of strat, where you're never really forced to use the mech for sustain. It's only team fight, and that means it's always bonus HP on top of everybody. Though they take a slightly different approach here and just pick up an anti-mage. So, you know what? I think this definitely works. I think IG, just between the SF and the Broodmother, should definitely have enough space to get this anti-mage off the ground. And as I was just talking about, the way that the Broodmother and the supports work for IG should prevent cdec from putting together anything scary enough to stop this anti-mage doing what he wants this game. There shouldn't be an aggressive tri-lane. He isn't going to get shut out early. cdec don't push towers all that well at all, so even if IG are forced to start ceding a little bit of ground and starting to lose some fights, I feel like the anti-mage is still pretty much guaranteed to get his farm and still pretty much guaranteed to have his impact this game. It is a slight departure from the strategy that we saw them running in the previous game, but it still feels very IG. It still feels very comfortable. So we'll see if Rabbit has a slightly better time here on the AM than he did on the Jug. And cdec scrambling to grab a little bit more lockdown, I think, are just going to find the Bane, so pretty good at potentially ganking up the Shadow Fiend. Can be a little bit difficult to play sometimes against Rubic, just because long duration channeled ultimates are far from safe against spell steal, and not an amazing hero at dealing with Broodmother either, in all honesty. So it's really going to fall to the Quap and the Ember to be dealing with this Brood's early pressure. But I feel like I'm yet to see a game where Luo's Brood doesn't get a good start and doesn't start applying a ton of pressure. So I think cdec are really going to have their hands full against this Broodmother pick. And the draft from cdec feels a little bit more reactionary than IG's. It was IG who made the Broodmother, who went for the Broodmother pick and sort of forced cdec's hand. into grabbing some more heroes to deal with that, and it was also IG, somewhat confidently grabbing this anti-mage and forcing cdec to sit and ponder what exactly they had in their arsenal to be able to deal with him. In this game, we are going to be seeing that early TP down towards the bottom lane, as Super is going to establish a quick little lane ward for Rabbit, so making sure that this bottom lane is pretty much 100% safe, and they might even get the D ward on this XZ Observer as he wanders down into position. Rabbit just going to hide. Fishman comes around the corner, puts down the ward, runs back into Observer Vision, and from that it should be pretty obvious for IG where this ward is. However, Chuan, looking pretty decked out here, has opted to grab some boots instead of grabbing some sentries, so they are not going to be able to D-ward that just yet, but they do have some pretty good information, and it looks like Super didn't actually buy anything, though it's just some tangos coming out to him at the moment. Would rather have some regen than spend all of his gold on some sentry wards, and as soon as he gets one last hit or the passive gold starts ticking in, he should be fine. Luo is waiting for this bounty and spam clicking away. He doesn't want to reveal himself, however, so he's just gonna make his departure as Shiki grabs the bottom bounty. Ferrari grabs the bottom bounty. Shiki grabs the top. And is Garter gonna make this mid lane even more of a nuisance for the Shadow Fiend? It's already a pretty tough matchup against the Queen of Pain, as mentioned. And if the Bane decides to stick around and help, it's gonna get even worse. And now you see the first point picked up in the Enfeeble. Guard is coming in to be a nuisance, throws it out. Ferrari down to 12 damage. But he's immediately going to pick up the raise and start securing some CS anyway, so it looks like this isn't going to be too much of a concern for him. As Shiki still getting his CS, still going to get some denies. Question for Garter is whether or not he's going to stick around here longer. He does have 2 clarities to continue fueling this very annoying Enfeeble spam, but all the while that he's sitting over at mid and looking to stack up these neutrals, this is experience that Luo is getting in the off lane, and a good start that he's securing for himself. Looks like XZ got a pretty good block on the off lane here and has been able to start grabbing some experience that the lane is immediately going to start pushing back the other way. It looks like he might not be seeing creeps for a little while here. Chuan is going to be the one to actually pick up the sentries, passes them over to Super. Super passes the obs to Chuan. We got all kinds of shenanigans going on, and Super now tasked with finding the Observer is going to do just that. Garter is trying to snipe the courier on mid lane, knowing that Ferrari is going to be bringing out his bottle before too long, but Ferrari's still going to need another couple of CS before he goes for that. This Bane wasn't spotted at all moving into position here, so we'll see how disciplined Ferrari is feeling. Oh no, Bane runs in. Alright, there's absolutely no chance that the courier gets sniped now, right? Ferrari's gonna back all the way up. Nice and safe, takes an auto attack for his troubles, but gets the bottle unharmed. I don't even know if it was worth coming down for the Enfeeble. I think I get the feeling that Garter was just like, oh, he knows and he sent the courier around and I'm not gonna get it, so I may as well just go and throw another Enfeeble, but Ferrari was actually just too low on CS. This matchup is turning out alright for him, in fact. 8-0, comes in, throws out a raise, forces the defensive blink back from Shiki. He's not really crushing this lane at all. XZ is being forced out of bottom. And looks like he will not be able to return before a trip back to the Fountain. Luo still playing top lane pretty defensively, just chilling out in the trees. Grabbing a couple of CS when the opportunity presents itself, but otherwise playing this pretty safe. He's got some sentries of his own, ready to tango down any sentry wards that pop up out of the dazzle. And looks like Q may have already lost one in an earlier little skirmish. But still going to start running some pulls, get some levels for himself. Aggressive. Looks like not really hurting at all for the matchup against the Brood. He's got the poor man's shield to block any spiderling damage, so pretty unconcerned about that. And Luo not even really poking his main hero forward at all to grab CS here. Just using the spiderlings, kind of playing it lone druid style. And making sure that he's 100% safe. XZ and Garter actually coming out for a gank. I think they do not want Ferrari to do whatever he did in the previous game where he got totally out of control. Is this gank going to connect? I think the Nightmare should be more than enough. Sprint's going to come running in as well. They've got the Sting, but Ferrari's already over in the trees. Just going to end up being wasted time for Garter and XZ as we have a ping coming out of Chuan. His Rubik is so glowy, my god. Oh, I guess it is on Rubik's color scheme, but this is way more bling than I'm used to seeing Rubik's Sport. Meanwhile, missing first blood top lane, Luo's gonna be brought down here. There isn't even the sentry ward is all the way over in the lane, but looks like maybe a dust. Okay, yeah, dust from the Ember Spirit, finding that kill on Luo there, and just getting run down. Okay, so he's doing all right on levels, but only 4 CS on this Broodmother, and needs to continue to be careful. There's level 5 on the Ember now. He's got phase boots up. Dust of Appearance at the ready once more. Still doing a little bit better than the offlane Slardar is, but not by much, and especially given that it's only a dual lane that he's facing up against. But I guess the Ember is fairly difficult to deal with. Ferrari gonna get a little bit of help from Chuan here. There's a double stack set up over in the neutrals for Ferrari to fall back on as well, though he's holding his own just fine here on the middle lane, only trailing 3 CS behind Shiki right now. And looks like another stack coming out from Rubik. Slightly mistimed, however, from Chuan. In terms of an overall lead, we don't really have a whole lot to talk about at the moment. Slightly dire favored, tiny experience lead, 50 experience in IG's favor right now, but Anti-Mage is doing well, Shadow Fiend is doing well, and I think IG are going to be quite happy with that. Ancient Apparition also just running non-stop connect pulls, is actually getting a lot of experience here. Almost level 5 on this AA. And yeah, it's still kind of staying close to some of the cores this game, so I do have to commend Super on the support play so far. And it's also kind of showing up on XZ's experience, all of these pulls being run. Shiki gonna place ward, but he gets spotted, so that ward's probably not gonna be all that long-lived. Grabs a 6-minute rune, just a regen for him here, as XZ does end up grabbing the bouncy bottom, but looks like Shadow Fiend is ready to start clearing out some stacks. Chuan wants some experience. Looks like Ferrari will be happy to oblige him. And this bottle gets delivered to fuel a few more raises. In terms of the first movement, well, we've already seen attempted movements, but they've been kind of thwarted by IG so far. Chuan's still just chilling out on mid. Luo looking to farm something up with the Spiderlings here, but they've been nuked down by the Dazzle, and Luo's forced to just stay over in the trees aggressive, not giving these spiders any chance, burning him down. Pretty passive overall at the moment. I'll switch it back over to Last Hits Nice so we can continue to see the tallies accumulate for both Rabbit and for Aggressive. Chuan and Ferrari smoked up, looking towards bottom. They're gonna spot XZ, but looks like he's too far back, and Ferrari deciding that he won't be able to get the triple raise. Just leaving XZ to wonder, like, what exactly just happened? I just got run at by Shadow Fiend and Rubik. And they lifted me up. They didn't even break my Tranquil Boots, and that was that. So that's going to be a little bit of wasted time for IG in turn, but Ferrari, just a detour for him. Adding to some stacks. Garder's actually taking the farm in the mid lane at the moment, as Shiki has made his way into his own jungle and is starting to clear out a stack of his own. So farm coming up for both mid laners, but definitely a lot more pressure on Shiki to go and make immediate use of this first Sonic Wave, hopefully find a kill with that, while Shadow Fiend is really more content to just sit back and continue farming up. So we'll see what Shiki can get done. Lunks down, grabs the Illusion Rune. Luo still just playing it safe top lane. Continue to spam, grab what CS he can, though he is even trailing behind the Ancient Apparition here in terms of overall creep score. And Garder, well, taking full advantage of his time on the middle lane to grab some CS and start working towards his level 6 so that they can start putting pressure on, I would guess, the Anti-Mage with the Fiend's Grip. He's really the big important target. And oh, Broodmother dies again! My bad. Did Dazzle even do anything? No, he just got straight up solo killed. It was just Triple Remnant. Triple Remnant, boom, dead. Garter running in. XZ running in, but Super just going to back himself up. Level 5.5 on this Ancient Apparition. Aggressive. Lead farmer in the game so far, looking like he's just going to be going for a kind of run around and do stuff build instead of sitting back and farming. I am still a pretty big fan of the Boots of Travel early on the Ember, but Aggressive likes to just run at people, and I think the Phase Boots helps a lot for that this game. And gonna come running around top lane, but once again, this same Radiant Observer that spotted this obs being placed earlier is gonna see Garter moving into position and might give them some kind of an idea of where this ward placement is. Though I think the much more typical placement would be kind of somewhere over here. So IG may miss if they try to sentry ward. Lua does have 2 sentries of his own here, and just makes it back onto his web. He is about to lose his tier 1 tower, actually. So needs to be a little bit worried, but still playing this lane very passively. I guess he's going to come in, another dust in hand, his drum at the ready, going to spot out some spiderlings, though they are going to be able to deal with that sentry ward that got placed down within tower true sight range. Shiki's coming up towards top lane as well. Lua getting pincered somewhat, but looks like he's still going to be somewhat safe. No way he goes in for this tonight. That would be total suicide. He's going to flinch a little bit as that Remnant gets dropped into position, but with 4 heroes up here, all he can do is just wait and get his opportunity at the creep wave a little bit later. But Rabbit's still finding really good farm, Ferrari's still finding fantastic farm. Just going to start working on a mech. I don't think it's going to be quite as valuable as the mech was in the previous game. Their lineup is not very 5-man oriented. They're probably going to be leaving Ancient Apparition behind on the bottom lane or the mid lane to grab some farm once Rabbit rotates into the jungle. And not really a group up lineup at all. There's always kind of going to be AA off doing his own thing, Brood's always going to be off doing her own thing, and to an extent, in a big way, Anti-Mage is also going to be off just doing his own thing. So this Shadow Fiend mech feels more like a safety mechanism than anything. Garter does not have grip just yet, but they're going to smoke down to bottom lane and just hope to find a kill with the Searing Chains Crush and the Nightmare being enough lockdown. But Rabbit suspects that something is up. Dazzle's alone on the top lanes, and looks like he feels that Aggressive is coming down to gank him. This is a pretty classic Aggressive move. You get your core farm, you get a smoke, you go with your support, and you just try and pick up some kills in the opposing jungle. But IG have caught on. Maybe not enough, though. Rabbit in a little bit of trouble, but they don't have the Slaughter in the neighborhood anymore. Ember does still have a Remnant to get a little bit further away, though they only end up slowing Rabbit's farm down a tiny bit. It's actually IG are going to go on the offensive with a counter smoke. Double damage bottled for Ferrari. And it's going to end up being activated as they start sweeping their way down towards the bottom lane. Aggressive just going to duck into the pit. I don't think he was spotted here. And is he actually hoping to reveal this Roshan attempt? He's going to get lifted. The double damage is chunking him and just didn't Remnant out quickly enough. He didn't have any vision outside of the pit, so had to react as soon as they came through this wall of fog. But that was extremely awkward. He even had a bottled invis. Maybe he should have just sat in the invis. Hindsight is 20/20, of course, but that was extremely awkward. He read that smoke so nicely. I don't even think IG knew that he was in there. He wanted to scout the Roche attempt, but instead just ends up dying, and IG just go right back to farming. All right, that was weird. I don't quite know what to make of that. Lua is extremely happy that Aggressive has left his lane. He's going to start picking up the pace on farm, and IG still kind of keeping their jungle on lockdown. cdec have managed to establish this one kind of deep ward, but they know the exact game plan of cdec. They know the kind of moves that they make, and they're just avoiding farming in their jungle where they aren't protected. Instead, just opting to use these westernmost camps and not exposing themselves to the kind of plays that you normally see from the cdec side. So Aggressive just going to change tack. He's going to go back to farming for a little bit. The Queen of Pain is still doing really well in terms of farm. At the same time, Shiki's been kind of more farm focused and not running around the map as much on his Queen of Pain, still working on his Orchid here. And the Slaughter is also getting some pretty good farm. He's going to have his Blink Dagger before too long. So the first round of attempts, not all that successful, but cdec still has some things going their way. They're still actually ahead on net worth right now by about 1k, and experience is pretty much dead even. No more than a 500 lead either way in this entire game. And XZ just really wants to finish his blink, but just need to be careful. Chuan and Super looking for this kill on bottom. Some cold feet ready. Lift's gonna come back. They've got the Ice Blast as well, but looks like Ice Blast gonna be a little bit off the mark. Crush was stolen, but XZ manages to sidestep all of that. And it actually ends up prompting 2 TPs at a cdec, Shiki and Q. Both arriving in quick succession, but no dive. Blink Dagger now just picked up for XZ. And we'll have to see if they can do anything with all of these heroes down on bottom. cdec, no slouches. They are just going to try and put some pressure on mid lane at the same time and get IG to split up, but looks like IG pretty content to just stay grouped up as 4 and try and find some kind of a trade here on bottom. Q and XZ are smoked, and I get the feeling that cdec are gonna run out of smokes pretty quickly. Chuan gonna go TPing into the trees. The lift comes out. The crush was stolen, but the crush comes out faster from XZ as he locks down Chuan. And now Ferrari amp damaged up, gripped as well. He's gonna end up popping. cdec's pressure on the mid lane gets exactly the result that they were looking for. 2 TPs come in. They get both kills and don't end up losing anything at all on the other side of the map. Rabbit was pushing out a bit and does almost have his Battle Fury completed, so it's not all bad news for IG, but Ferrari is not nearly as scary this game as he was in the previous, and cdec staying grouped up, continuing to apply pressure. XZ's gonna come in, pops in the sentry, realizes that Lua's in the neighborhood. Now the sentry goes down, but Lua runs northward and they don't spot him out just yet. Gonna put in another web and continue to make his escape. So just barely dodging all 5 of the cdec heroes, and this is where IG looks like they're gonna settle into somewhat of a split push pattern. Rabbit's got his Battle Fury up now, so he can kind of start farming wherever, though there is going to be a couple of minutes where this Queen of Pain has an Orchid picked up and there is no Manta Style picked up for the Anti-Mage. Super just going to be cheeky and throw an Ice Blast bottom as he TPs out. And it is actually going to be cdec who are able to make the first move on Roshan. This gold should be enough to get cheeky. His Orchid. There are some spiderlings scouting things out here that they're about to fade, so it looks like Lua's not going to be able to do anything cheeky with them. And it should just be an easy Aegis for the Queen of Pain here. Alright. Aegis, Orchid, couldn't ask for a better time, for a better timing for the Quap. Aggressive still going to find at least one more pick-off so far this game as he brings down the Rubik. I think Chuan was just hoping to place a couple of wards, but gets caught out there. Meanwhile, XZ's managed to blink in and find Lua. However, Lua does have the insatiable hunger available. Might be caught in a somewhat awkward place, but in jump Shiki with the Sonic Wave finds the kill. However, Ice Blast is going to clean up the Slardar on the retreat. And Shiki still trapped in the trees. Will be able to blink out the freedom now as Chuan gets his hands on the blinks. 1 for 1. Orchid wasn't delivered just yet. Top lane, Ferrari looking for the ultimate onto Aggressive, but not quite working out the way that he'd hope. However, the cold feet ends up proccing Nightmare from Garter. Gonna buy some space. Super ends up pulling the Nightmare onto himself, but now Ferrari is totally isolated by the grip. Rabbit's still gonna jump in and find that kill, and will be able to make his escape, so it's another 1 for 1 as IG start playing slightly more guerrilla warfare oriented tactics. I don't know what Ferrari was hoping for there. Did he have an invis? Did he just get jumped and then Requiem to try and buy himself some space? It looked like they were intentionally running up to try and find that, but Chuan not able to get the lift off on the Shiki there, unfortunately. Only the 2 points in the lift. The cast range does get a little bit longer each time, but it looks like not quite able to grab Shiki and pop the Aegis for free. But looks like IG are starting to bring this back a little bit. We're at about a 2.5k net worth lead in cdec's favor, about 3k experience. Got some scribbles drawn on the map from Shiki. I think he expects that Rabbit or the Broodmother might be over on the top side of the map, farming their westernmost camps, but not the case. Rabbit has taken a nice safe farm. securely in his own jungle. It's going to be Ferrari who actually has to strike out on his own to go and grab those most dangerous of creeps. And I think he's going to die, unfortunately for him. cdec sweeping their own jungle, looking for anti-mage, but what they're going to find is a Shadow Fiend. And no BKB on this SF. Chuan is just around the corner with a lift at the ready to help out, but I don't know if that's going to be quite enough. Xe jumps in, crushes up Ferrari, and telekinesis drops Shiki. Who are they going for here? They can't quite seem to decide. The grip ends up being cancelled. Chuan blinks away. The Sonic Wave is going to be able to bring down the SF, but Rabbit now joining this fight. Shiki finds himself inside of the trees, now blinking back. Xe comes in for another crush. Rabbit now in some trouble, but if you can find an opening, you will be able to blink, but the Orchid coming off cooldown just in time. Extremely awkward fight from IG as they lose both of their big cores. The Rubik survives. Luo is going to be able to continue split pushing bottom, but that was so weird. It's like they couldn't quite decide if they wanted the Rubik or the Shadow Fiend. Did end up getting both of the most important kills in the end, but I think some indecision on the part of cdec that doesn't end up working out. Ice Blast is going to come in top, but I don't think that's going to do too much to deter cdec here. Kier going to take this opportunity to plant down a ward for himself. Super still farming up. Had a pretty good start, and is still doing pretty well in experience, though. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of farm to be found for the hard 5 Ancient Apparition. Anti-Mage does already have his Manta Recipe and his Iyasha, so just needs the Ultimate Orb to start getting out of the clutches of this Queen of Pain Orchid, but Shiki, with the Orchid in hand and still another minute left on the Aegis, is probably looking to continue pressuring. Now, these Tier 2 towers are much more of an obstacle than the Tier 1s were for cdec, and in fact, there is still a Tier 1 tower standing down on bottom. And, Rabbit just blinked in, but looks like Garter doesn't quite have the Fiend's Grip available. They get the chains out onto 2. Chuan steals those chains and will look to turn them around here as Rabbit just manages to blink away, and in comes the Ice Blast. Catches onto 2. Garter throws out the Fiend's Grip for a fraction of a second, but cancels it, realizing that Chuan's in the neighborhood. The spell steal is on cooldown, but I don't think he wants to stick around too long here. Is he going to be able to escape? The Bane has naturally very high move speed. And looks like it's actually going to be enough to get him out of harm's way. Chuan's still chasing, but can he actually close the gap? No. Just going to take this as an opportunity to plant down a ward and back off empty-handed, though. It's cdec's turn to lose 2 big cores, as the Slardar and the Ember Spirit both bite the dust. Shiki nowhere to be found in the midst of all of that, and is going to end up losing his Aegis. So I don't think cdec quite accomplished as much as they were hoping with this Aegis pickup. And the net worth is still slowly but surely pushing upwards into Radiant territory, with a similar story in terms of experience. We do have the Battle Fury now picked up for Embers, so a bunch of big items coming out pretty quickly for cdec, but IG matching them blow for blow. They've got the BKB now up over on the Shadow Fiend. I've got a Vlad's and the Broodmother. Luo's still not doing all that well, and I feel like I overhyped his Brood a little bit, since this hasn't been the craziest game from him so far. But the Anti-Mage also getting really close to having his Manta style up, and that's gonna redouble his efforts in terms of split pushing. And Queen of Pain gets caught at bottom. I don't even know quite how they did that. Looks like he just blinked in, tried to scream, the spiders just got lifted, and then got blown up by the Ancient Apparition and the Broodmother. That's a huge death from Shiki. And top lane, Rabbit going toe-to-toe with the Aggressive, knows that the Orchid Queen of Pain is dead, so feeling pretty confident in his ability to just outplay the cdec side right now. Does need to be careful. Bane was off the map, but IG split push is really settling into a rhythm here. Ferrari still just kind of sitting on teamfight items that aren't really doing anything at the moment, but it feels like more than anything, he's just the backup plan for the team right now. If cdec do manage to gather the resources and do manage to break through and 5-man towards a tower successfully, he's kind of the teamfight specialist right now, while IG don't really need anyone else to split push. There isn't really any incentive, I think, to get a Shadow Blade or something here on the SF. But it looks like right now these 2 items are just going to kind of be chilling in his inventory for a little bit. I got BKB now picked up on Shiki, so another big item added to the arsenal for cdec. What do we got going on bottom? Luo's being somewhat caught out, but it looks like aggressive this time around. Neglected to bring any anti-invis, so Luo's actually going to get out scot-free, just going to keep on chilling over in the trees. We got a 4-staff on the Slardar, and Xy's been somewhat successful so far this game, but I think not quite as much as he would have liked.
Radiant's top tower
Got the blink at a pretty decent time, but just hasn't really been able to find any pickoffs. And it's actually IG moving forward aggressively, looking to get something done here. Shiki comes blinking in, looking for the double damage, is going to be able to BKB. XZ runs in with the crush, but Chuan's going to blink in, brings back XZ, who manages to force staff a little bit further away. Cold Feet not going to proc, but it's not going to matter. A couple more auto attacks from Rabbit, find that kill. Aggressive throws out one sleight of fist as a bit of a warning sign, but IG claimed the easy kill. They get the Queen of Pain 10-second BKB on a cooldown as well, and they're just going to be able to go right back to controlling their lanes and continuing to split push out. Rabbit's on mid, Bird Mother on bot, Shadowfiend can go take up position in the jungle and keep on farming, and IG slowly but surely pushing this network lead upwards and upwards. Same story for Experience as we do pass into Radiant territory for about the first time in 12 or 13 minutes. So cdec not with quite the hold on this game that they were hoping. They're going to try and firm up that grip a little bit as they pick up this Gem of True Sight on Garter, but it's always a big risk. Can come up with a big payoff if you manage to deward a bunch of IG wards and keep them sort of pinned in on their side of the map, because a big thing for IG is if they have vision, then that's confidence to be able to split push. If you can see heroes on the map, you can tell yourself, okay, they're at least this far away. I can go for one more wave, I can do this, I can do that, but if cdec do manage to deny them a vision, then that is going to be pretty significant moving forward, though it's somewhat risky. Bane is fast, he's somewhat survivable, but I think losing the gem would just mean getting split pushed until the anti-mage is too big to deal with this game. Roshan isn't up just yet, but IG are going to continue making these repeated smoke movements over towards the pit. Don't know if they're going to find a kill, but they may find themselves a Roshan, though it is still about 1 minute to go on old Rosh. I guess he's still just kind of swinging from lane to lane here. Both teams very aware of the fact that Roshan is guaranteed to respawn soon. Ferrari waiting up on the hill here. Vision for the Radiant's pretty good. Vision for the Dire is a little bit sparse, as Q is going to actually steal his team with the weave, but nothing's going to end up coming of that, as it's just the tier 2 tower, sorry, taken down on the bottom lane. IG did bring everybody into position, but they don't even really lose much position on the map. Mid lane gets pushed in a little bit, but I think Rabbit's going to swing over there in short order and clean that up, and yeah, there's even illusions already over there getting things pushed out. So both teams looking towards Roshan right now. Both teams looking to get a little bit of control over the pit. Spiderling, has it actually scouted this out? Yep. IG are aware, cdec are aware, and now the lane dance begins, where both teams are gonna go and push out the lanes as far as they possibly can and see if they can force some kind of overextension or overcommitment from the other side. Neither team can really head into Roshan freely, but it should actually, no, I was about to say that it should be IG with the advantage, but I feel like the Ember Spirit equalizes things somewhat, in that he can always kind of just leave a remnant out, go and push out a wave, be ready to join his team a little bit later. And he's still very difficult to punish this game. There's no Orchid on the Brood, there's no Abyssal Blade yet on the Anti-Mage, so I guess he can feel really safe in doing whatever he wants. IG with another smoke. This is their third expedition towards the Roshan pit in as many minutes, and they're going to come in. Looks like Q suspected something is up. He's going to throw out the weave, but they're looking for XZ. Manages to force staff himself away and sprint in the opposite direction. Chuan looking for a way out here as Rapid goes jumping in on top of Q. Won't be able to mono void him as the Glimmer Cape comes out. Necrobooks get dropped down, but it's not level 3. Won't provide them with the vision. Garda, however, also being caught. Rabbit breaks through with his BKB, and they find the first kill. They do lose the Ancient Apparition on the back lines, as Shiki swoops in and finds that kill, but BKB is being used on both sides here, and it's just a support for a support trade. Almost exactly the same amount of gold, 202 versus 203, but it's IG who find themselves just that little bit closer to the pit, and they are going to be the ones to swing over and look to grab it. There is still a Sonic Wave available for the Quap. The Crush is actually going to end up catching Chuan outside of the pit. He's got the Blink, but the chains are going to keep him locked in place. And now IG are committed. Can they get this Roche? Aggressive does another slight, but Ferrari has his BKB, has the Aegis. He's actually ready to take this fight if need be. XZ going to go blinking up aggressively onto the high ground. Dust comes out. They're looking for the Broodmother. Ferrari also trapped out somewhat. He's going to wait for the blink and then just try and TP. Get out with this Aegis. Nice and safe. Aggressive unable to close the gap and get the Sleight of Fist chains off. So IG do end up losing 2 for Roshan there, but Aegis is still up. Rabbit is already off in another lane. Applying pressure there as BKB is now back off cooldown, so he's pretty much completely untouchable. Unless cdec finds some amazing chain stun out of the Slaughter Crush into some bashes. Aggressive is going to be able to go back and respond to this at least a little bit, but both heroes are just going to have to stare on another Ice Blast that slows things down. Bottom, Rabbit going to blink in aggressively here. And Aggressive sitting on 4k gold, actually going to be forced to Remnant to bottom. He used his TP to actually get the top. So there is no way that he can get back to top lane to stop this Anti-Mage, and Rabbit knows it. Pops the Manta, starts working on the tower. cdec, this is kind of forcing their hand a little bit. Aggressive, it really needs to grab some items with this gold. As Luo's going to come in and try and stall a little bit. cdec still getting somewhat distracted. XE doesn't have a TP scroll. Shiki doesn't have a TP scroll. Rabbit's going to go hit the base. Surely. No, I guess he's worried about Garter. Never mind. They don't have the information that... I guess they don't have the information that the TP scrolls are not there, but... Alright. Garter backs him up. It's going to just be a tier 2 for a tier 2. There's still the Aegis on Ferrari. And cdec... Do we have items for the Ember crit and the Daedalus recipe? So he's going to have his full Daedalus in a second. I totally forgot about the Bane in that last tirade, so apologies for those of you who are facepalming it at the suggestion that the AM was going to go hit the base, but Rabbit does have his Basher flying out right now, so this BKB value only going to be amplified by the new item pickup. Shiki also sitting on a bunch of gold here, so hopefully see him picking something up before too long. They've still got their hands on their gem, so denying at least a little bit of control to IG, though they have managed to establish a couple of wards around the place. So we've got a trail of Radiant sentries over nearby the pit. Luo almost has his Necro 3, so he's going to take up position on bottom. Looks like Rabbit might go take up position on top. And the Radiant jungle does get spotted by this Dire Observer as he blinks his way forward, but it looks like cdec not really in any kind of position to put pressure on him at the moment. Ferrari only has this Aegis for about another 2 minutes, but I get the feeling that the only kind of move that we'll be seeing out of IG will be potentially going for this tier 2. In terms of an overall lead, we've stalled once again at about 3k in IG's favor and about 1k experience. So still a relatively small lead. We haven't really seen the cdec gold translate into items completely just yet. They've now got the Daedalus picked up, but still no item on the Quap. And I guess, what are we going to see actually? I guess we'll probably see a Hex. Could still just be something like an AC. It looks like Shiki isn't 100% decided himself. So IG have made up their minds about coming in towards this mid lane and putting in at least a little bit of pressure on the tier 2. Though it looks like as cdec start to show up, they're just going to back up and keep on farming, keep on ratting. They are getting the better of the map right now. Ferrari farming Dire jungle, Luo farming Radiant jungle. And it looks like Anti-Mage is going to go and clean up the Ancients as he inches closer and closer towards the Abyssal Blade. The Hex is nice on the Queen of Pain, but it's only great if they can get the initiation. So a lot of pressure on XZ to be finding these Blink Crushes and to be setting up on these BKB heroes before they can pop them. Because the Queen of Pain's net worth could very quickly go flying out the window Anti-Mage just jumps in, KB'd, Abyssal Blades her, and just chops her down. There's going to be very little he does. I guess cdec can. They do have a Grave. They do have counterplay, but that's about the worst way that these team fights can go. So cdec Rabbit looks towards aggressive, but again, they lack a little bit of lockdown. Tron's going to run forward with the lift. They've got the Ice Blast as well. Is this going to be the long enough duration? Ice Blast almost not connecting there, but not even necessary. Rabbit secures the kill along with the Mana Void. What did Tron steal in the midst of all of that? Got the Searing Chains, but looks like was he actually needed, but they get that kill. 3.2k gold on Rabbit. No more split push from the Ember Spirit to deal with. I mean, Ember this whole time is just telling himself, well, the only way that I can die is if Rubik lifts me, but unfortunately just a little patch of trees gets lifted over the top. And this is going to open things up for IG to push towards this mid-tier 2. They don't have the Aegis anymore, but double damage on Rabbit is going to be more than enough to spur them forward. And the tier 2 is going to crumble as IG start making their way towards the base. Rabbit's even going to blink forward. XZ considers the crush, goes for it, just applying a bit of pressure. IG here to see if they can get down this tier 3 or potentially force out a buyback. Crush still cooling down, Blink still cooling down. IG start working their way onto the Rex. Ferrari gets enfeebled, but he's just going to blink himself away. And cdec only going to lose the tier 3 tower for their troubles here. Though they are going to lose a lot of position on the map as well. Necrobook, along with the Spiderlings, actually doing significant damage to the bottom tier 3. And once again, IG just going to take up position and continue to rat this out. cdec still have their gem, I believe. Yeah, they still got the gem on the Queen of Pain, but haven't been able to sweep through their jungle for a little bit. There's still one Radiant Overlord hiding up over here, but I mean, I doubt that they're going to find that. And what are IG up to? Do they even have any smokes left? They used so many smokes trying to go and get Roche. Yeah, they got none. Alright, no smokes for 2 minutes. Dire's team situation, no smokes for 10 minutes. Alright, so we're not going to be seeing a whole lot happen for the next little bit. Especially with Roshan off the table for at least another 1 minute. But IG still gathering items. Rabbit now has his Abyssal Blade. And this is kind of where cdec's fears start to be realized, that this very last pick Anti-Mage is going to be almost impossible to deal with. They still have grip. They've still got Hex. They've still got Crush. They've still got a lot of damage from the Ember Spirit, but this is going to get tough moving forward. Aggressive does now pick up some Boots of Travel, so some enhanced split push potential for him now. I don't even know if he got all that much value out of the phase boots, honestly. He tried to make the normal aggressive plays of go and kill the opposing mid, go and kill the opposing safe laner, but it didn't really work out. So. I wonder, with the benefit of hindsight, you could say that maybe he would have gotten more farm, would have been a little bit closer to the Anti-Mage if he'd just gone for the early BOTs, but it feels like a pretty nitpicky thing to bring up. Oh no, cdec! Oh no, they did actually have a smoke, but they smoked right under the ward, the perfect ward from IG, only providing a tiny bit of vision, but it's more than enough, I think, to see this smoke. And IG just gonna group up, staying pretty safe. XZ comes around the corner. Can he actually find a crush on somebody? It's going to be Super who face tanks this. Gets crushed up. Looks like he will be brought down. Will he be able to drop any spells? Ferrari goes jumping in. Uses the Requiem. Shiki's been Abyssal Bladed, but the Grave does come out. The Grip gets thrown back the opposite way, but Shiki will be unable to continue this fight. Garter finds himself in the enemy backlines. He's going to be brought down. XZ already dead. And IG, they do lose the Ancient Apparition, but he face tanked the gank, set up the fight nicely for his team, and they're going to repay him by heading right down mid lane. It looks like aggressive, grabbing a bit of farm over in the Radiant jungle. Isn't quite needed back at the base just yet, as Shiki's scrabbling back to heal up before the push makes its way up onto the high ground. Do they have a glyph available? They do not. The Anti-Mage and the Shadow Fiend going to go to work. There's going to be a buyback from the Slaughter. Shiki jumps in, gets the Hex Head over onto Rabbit, but what can they actually do here? Aggressive gets lifted. He's getting right-click down, manages to get out the Sleight of Fist. The Grave coming out as well. He's going to start dancing back, but Xy's already been right-clicked down. Ferrari just standing his ground. Luo, in the meantime, bringing down the Tier 3 tower on bottom. It's going to be a dieback from the Slardar. Once again, the Queen of Pain forced back into the base. There is an Ice Blast flying in, but looks like it's not going to be enough to find this kill on him. Just going to annoy him a little bit. The fights are no longer going cdec's way. They do manage to hold on to the racks, though. IG just going to back up and continue to pile on some more items. We have aggressive boots are traveling in top, but Ferrari's just going to blink himself out and be just fine. Roshan's also going to get scattered out here by the Spider Lane. And it looks like IG probably going to make their way over there as quickly as they possibly can. They don't have a whole lot of vision to work with again. Still just this one ward over by the mid lane. Sean's got his blink. He's got the stolen amplified damage. In fact, I think IG just going to go straight in here. Fade Bolt to pop. Put on the amplified damage. Rabbit working on this very quickly. And can cdec get some vision. Q's holding onto the weave. But I don't think he realizes that the amplified damage is down just yet. They are going to start throwing out some Sleight of Fist. They clean up the Spiderlings, but not a whole lot else. BKBs both get popped. Shiki jumps in, trying to steal the Aegis, looking for the big plays, but he won't be able to get it. Aegis for the Shadow Fiend. Looks like cheese for the Broodmother. And no Queen of Pain for 70 seconds. Aggressive, realizing the gravity of the situation, is going to just go and push bottom and try and buy a little bit of time for his team, but I don't think IG have any intentions on stopping their march down mid. And cdec, well, it's time to take stock of the rest of their buybacks, of which there are none. Well, there is one on aggressive, but whatever. I'm apparently totally fine. Aggressive's just hoping to get a lane of racks of his own, but the tier 3's already down bottom. He comes in, throws out one Sleight of Fist. It's going to be enough to clean up the Spiderlings, but not a whole lot else. That's 2 lanes of racks down, and barely any time used on the Aegis as well from IG. They can now... oh, they're going to go for the Regoose. Smoke up. There wasn't any vision on them. They're just hoping that somebody pokes their head out, that they can get the free pick off and just end the game right here. It looks like cdec have... okay, they spotted it. They had somewhat of an inkling. But yeah, they spotted it with their observer wards, so this is not going to work. cdec are just going to stay huddled up nice and safe behind their last remaining tier 3. And aggressive is going to be the one who pokes his head outside of the base. He's the only one with buyback on his side of the map. And for IG, are there any items that they're waiting for? I guess that's the other question to answer. Who's got current gold? Oh my god, Anti-Mage has current gold. Alright, 7k gold for Rabbit. He looks like he's just gonna grab a butterfly before they do too much else. They've still got plenty of time on the Aegis. Just gonna blink back and grab a little bit more farm. Is he even gonna get buyback on top of this butterfly? Is that the plan here? They are not risking anything right now. No. Looks like he's just gonna go and buy it. He might still have buyback anyway. Yeah. So we're gonna pass the cheese on. Or where'd the cheese go? Okay, pass the cheese over onto Chuan. I didn't hear the sound, so I was pretty confident that he didn't just eat it, but anyway, that's butterfly complete. Aegis still up for another 2 minutes. And cdec, what do they got? Is it rapier time for the Ember Spirit? He's got 5.3k gold, so should hopefully buy at least another item, a mini crit, something before this next fight breaks out. Though I don't know if there's any one item he can buy that's really gonna turn the tides all that much. They really just need the initiation to go perfect, but I don't even know if IG are going to give them any kind of initiation opportunity, because Ferrari's probably just going to go up to the high ground with his Aegis and just hit their axe with his Manta Illusions. And they're even just going to rat it. Luo's just going to send Necro and Spiderlings down towards bottom. chip away at this range Drax that can't regen up, so Basskip's attention is going to be forced down there. And IG slowly but surely making their way in towards the mid lane. Couple of right clicks from the Shadow Fiend are going to clean up the one range Drax. As IG start to make the cdec base their home, Rabbit blinks over onto the tier 3. Manta gets popped out, XZ comes jumping in, but Chuan gets the lift back. Stolen Crush, not gonna go, actually goes off, but XZ still managing to force staff a little bit further away. Shiki, BKB pops, forced to blink a little bit further back. They drop the Abyssal Blade onto Q's head, and Rabbit will just right click him down. Mega kill streak picked up there. As IG still confidently stands his ground, Aegis in hand, pops the BKB. Looking for the mega creeps here, right clicking away at Aggressive. Chuan gets the long range lift. Get a couple of raises back. The Glimmer Cape is going to help keep Aggressive alive, but Rabbit cannot be stopped. Garter goes for the grip, but it just doesn't matter. And for the second game running, Q will call the GG, tap out, and that is going to be the end of cdec's run here in the Summit 4 China qualifiers. That's also going to wrap up our coverage here for today, folks. So IG are going to advance to play against LGD, the winners of the other lower bracket match that we had covered today. We're going to be back tomorrow for that lower bracket semi-final, and that's going to be the only match from the Summit 4 China. I believe I'm going to be joined by Winter for that match tomorrow, so anyone who's looking forward to some Winter co-casting, make sure that you definitely tune in. And that's going to be at 5 p.m. SGT, so 7 p.m. Australia, and, well, you can work it out for the rest of the world because I'm awful at time zone conversions. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have any feedback on the casting, I'm Basskip. You can email me at basskipdota@gmail.com. I'd really appreciate hearing from you guys. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to support Beyond the Summit, etc., 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 and I'll see you tomorrow.